Baby Steps is the only game that makes a plank of wood feel like a final boss. It's an open-world QWOP from Bennett Foddy and friends where you control each leg, eat mud for breakfast, and somehow end up laughing as you faceplant for the 50th time. The core question: is this brutally stupid in the smartest way, or just brutal? Here's the pitch in plain terms. You play Nate, a 35-year-old disaster in a stained onesie who refuses help and decides to hike a surreal mountain anyway. Movement isn't push stick to walk. You squeeze a trigger to lift a leg, nudge a stick to place it, and transfer weight like you're learning to stand for the first time. At first you will fall, then you will fall again. Then, and this is the magic, you'll realize the system has depth. Trigger pressure sets foot height, weight shift can anchor or skid you, and tiny adjustments mean everything. Mastery is real, not mythical, where reviewers converge. The loop is maddening and funny, and the writing is weirdly charming. IGN flat out adored it, calling the 20-hour slog both infuriating and awesome, with improvised feeling dialogue that actually lands. PC Gamer hit a high mark too, framing the game as satire of macho, I don't need a map gaming culture. You pick your suffering from sensible route to hat perched on a cursed treetop. Eurogamer emphasizes something you might miss. It's more forgiving than the memes suggest. The world is semi-open. Optional routes are visible, and there are sneaky safety nets, waterways that loop you back instead of dumping you 5 biomes down. That matters for sanity. Where they clash is the texture of the pain. IGN celebrates the deliberate design, even when rare physics quirks punt you off a climb. PC Gamer admits the mid-game can drag, especially in the sandy zone where momentum turns into soap. Eurogamer argues the chaptering, open routing, and quiet stretches keep the experience humane. Synthesis. Everybody fell, everybody cursed, and everybody found at least one "this is actual nonsense" moment. The difference is whether you saw it as a humorous fable about stubbornness, or a personal attack by a plank. Let's talk structure because it's the stealth genius here. Baby Steps isn't a single ladder with one right answer. It's a playground of bad ideas. You can chase glowing collectibles, ferry lost items to towers, or go barebones campfire to campfire. The hard stuff is often optional and visible, so the game lets you self-tune the misery. Feeling spicy, climb the rickety temple. Feeling mortal, take the valley trail and live to wobble another day. That player-chosen difficulty is why rage doesn't calcify into resentment. And then there's tone. Every cutscene sounds like improv. Meandering jokes, low stakes that become weirdly high, and an Australian hiker who weaponizes niceness until it feels like a boss mechanic. The humor isn't just relief, it reframes your losses. When you slip off a minecart beam after 10 minutes of steady breathing, the next scene doesn't scold you. It makes your stubbornness the bit. Also yes, there's a tasteful, not tasteful nudity toggle prompt on boot. The game is unserious about everything except physics. Now the bold take. Baby Steps is a masterpiece of constrained design. If you buy the Covenant. The Covenant is this. Walk slow, learn how friction lies, except that forward is sometimes sideways, and leave when the plank starts living rent-free in your head. If you try to strong-arm it like a standard platformer, you'll hate it. If you treat it like hiking with a broken body and a functional brain, you'll start to fly. Practical stuff to keep you from screaming into your controller. 1. Treat triggers like analog instruments, feather, don't slam. Half lift gives you just enough toe to clear debris without popping your stance. 2. Plant on flats, not dreams. If a rock is convex, land the foot lower than you want and roll up, don't stab the peak. 3. Lean into counterforce. Lifting one leg lets the other push. Use it to stick on steep angles instead of pinwheeling. 4. Hats and side objects are skill checks masquerading as cosmetics. Tackle them after a warm-up, not cold. 5. When a route feels cursed, it probably is. Backtrack 30 seconds, and the game often reveals an easier line you didn't see because you were mad at gravity. Design philosophy, interlude punishment versus permission. Baby Steps punishes impatience, not curiosity. That's why the optional climbs are brilliant. They are training wheels made of granite. Fail where it's safe to fail, then return to the main line with a deeper feel for plank cadence and step height. Eurogamer's safety net point is clutch. The game wants you tense, not traumatized. It rigs the world to keep failure local. platform and price reality check. It's out on PS5 and PC, runs great, and costs less than a bad takeout order, around 18 bucks. Expect a dozen to 20 hours, depending on how many side misadventures you force yourself into, and how often you reset your soul with a walk around the lake. There's no multiplayer, no skill tree, no +10 to ankle tendons. The progression lives in your hands. Counter-argument. Because debate makes us smarter. What if your tolerance for slapstick physics is low? Then the mid-games, sand biomes and ladder micro-platforming might grind you down. What if you hate lofi visuals? The art is intentionally plain, all vibes, occasional pop-in. What if you need unambiguous fairness? Even fans concede there are rare "what was that" spills. Baby Steps is not for everyone. It is proudly for the goblins who enjoy wrestling systems until they purr. Veteran Games verdict: strong recommend with the Covenant caveat. Baby Steps is the rare hard game that earns your respect without dangling loot or fake difficulty spikes. It gives you a stupidly precise instrument, a rude world, and 1,000 tiny ways to express control. When it clicks, you'll crest a ridge, feel your shoulders drop, and laugh because walking never felt like this in your life. If this kind of no BS deep dive is your thing, hitch a ride with Veteran Game and hit subscribe. If you're nodding or composing a 1,000-word ode to how sand is evil, toss a like so this take survives the algorithm. Last spark to argue about. Should games let you set your own suffering with visible optional nightmare routes? Or is designer-curated pain the only honest test? Plant your flag and name the climb that broke you.